Welcome, Patriots. It's going to be a dynamic and expensive episode of Ravens Radar today. We've got a great guest, and we're going to be talking about wokeness and money. Is your money woke? We have to find out. If it's in your sights, it's on my radar. We'll be airborne shortly. Welcome, Patriots, to this episode of Ravens Radar. We're going to do it a little different today. Usually I give you my summary of what's going on in the world, and let me summarize it. Biden sucks. Okay, there it is, guys. I'll be here all week. So I want to get right to it today because we had a very popular episode of Ravens Radar a few weeks ago, and it was with the one and only Jackson Paulishak. He is the founder and president of a company called antiwokeinvesting.com. And if you're like me, you were thinking, is my money woke? Has it gotten here too? Yes, it has gotten here too, but we had a lightning interview with Jackson, and we are here for round two because it was just that good. So it is my pleasure to welcome the one and only Jackson Paulishak back to Ravens Radar.
It is great to be back, Raven. Thank you.
It is good to have you. I know you and I were both a little surprised at how well that went over when we kind of gave people a digestible read on what was really happening with their investments and their money. So since then, can I summarize and say business has been good because Biden is ridiculous?
You nailed it for sure. So where do you want to start?
I want to start, at the very beginning, because we want to talk about, because you are literally in the business of protecting people's money. So, and that's what anti-woke investing does. So we want to start off with, can I start off with, first of all, you were right. On our last show, you made a comment about a bill getting ready to be passed that would protect consumers, investors from ESG, which is, remind our listeners and our viewers what ESG is.
ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. So this is a mishmash, if you will, of woke approaches, woke policies that are burdens on companies regarding again, things that they're expected to do with their management and operations, whether it be climate related or quota-based hiring or what have you. So
it's a directive, and it affects investors, it affects consumers, and it affects people in their retirement funds, correct? What's the essence is now this little three-letter wokeness, you know how we like the three letters, right? ESG, OMG, FJB. And the three letters have now infiltrated people's retirements. So now this is a little governance that you have to invest in woke, green, money-losing items in your portfolio. That's what asset managers are prioritizing, correct?
Well, it's more or less that by Biden vetoing the bill that was passed by the House and Senate, which would have kept woke ESG out of your 401k, okay? By Biden vetoing that bill, he now allows the money managers, the people who are running the money, running the mutual funds, for example, within people's 401ks, those money managers are now allowed to prioritize ESG, woke climate change, whatever you want to focus on. They're now allowed to do that, and they're not at risk of violating fiduciary duty. It used to be that they couldn't prioritize climate change and ESG because that would have violated their fiduciary obligation to put investors' interests first. And now he's given them legal cover, so they are now allowed to do that. And that's going to lead to lower returns. Long term, I will confidently tell you that will lead to lower long-term returns in people's retirements.
And so there it is. So that's Grandpa Joe at it again. So he has now made sure, let me see if I've got the cliff notes of this right, that at my asset manager, instead of looking for the best returns for me and getting the most money for my retirement and 401k, has to prioritize windmills, and wokeness and climate change and green agendas and whiskers on kittens and all this kind of other stuff before they prioritize getting me the best return. Is that essentially it?
Well, the one thing we want to be a little bit careful on, they don't have to do this, okay? They're not required to do this. What they've been given is legal cover where if they choose to do this, okay, they really don't have any liability or fiduciary cover. The problem is, okay, a significant, like I talked about last time, if you remember the discussion where I talked about a dominant number of the major asset managers, fund companies, belong to global climate change organizations. And I cited as an example the Net Zero Asset Managers Initiative. So an asset manager joins a global climate change initiative. What they commit to when they join these groups is that I'm going to prioritize. I'm going to put pressure on companies that I own stock in on behalf of investors. If I'm a money manager, I'm going to put pressure on companies to adopt global climate change initiatives. Okay, as opposed to not focusing on politics as a money manager and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, focusing on maximizing profits for investors.
And for those of us who have been watching in real time, okay, this wokeness, outside of it being ridiculous, okay, it is just infiltrated every aspect of corporate America these days. In fact, I think we have a clip of a few of our favorite woke things. You kind of actually, Jackson, can kind of hear the music in the back. I simply remember my favorite woke things, and this is ridiculous. This is crazy. So I want to say, and speaking of which, because we just showed a few of these companies who have just gone to the dark side. They're just all about the woke. And how are they doing this? Because Jackson, these companies, there are several companies that are falling in the stocks right now because they have chosen to embrace this narrative of companies just in a free fall, correct?
Well, the two most obvious examples, of course, are Disney, which has performed incredibly poorly since they adopted a very, very woke agenda. And obviously what's happened since we were last together with Anheuser-Busch, some management people within there made a decision. They were living in their little bubble, thinking that everyone was on board with this wokeness. So they took an action that, I don't know, I don't have a master's degree in marketing, but I'm really confident that one of the first rules of marketing is don't offend your existing customer base.
As a marketing professional, I can concur to that, but I am telling you, you are spot over the target. Anheuser-Busch, the hold my beer, literally, of Disney, okay? It is the Maybelline of Disney beers. I mean, it was crazy. I think we have, and then for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction, and I think we have it now.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible. Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
Kid for the win! Woo! That's how. So Jackson, your thoughts on that?
Perfectly appropriate use for light beer, period.
I am telling you, also good for maybe cleaning toilets and, not even going there. Don't know. Don't drink beer. Definitely don't drink that. So I would tell people return to the light, just not the Bud Light. Okay, return to the light. But that is essentially, okay, what's happening with these investment portfolios. We talked about this once before. Jackson, what are we talking about in terms of the losses to the portfolio? Are we talking about these initiative costing portfolios a few $1,000s over the life?
Well, let's recap the example I gave you last time, because I think your eyes got very big when I talked about how big the numbers were. If you are a typical person saving for retirement, and in your retirement accounts you have, let's say, $250,000, which many people do within their IRA and 401k accounts. And let's say that your money manager, because they have implemented a woke ESG investing approach, is costing you returns. A Harvard study from last year, a Harvard Business Review study, estimated that ESG investing costs investors approximately, I think I gave it wrong last time. I think I said 1.54%. It's 1.45%. I did the flip-flop on that. But again, if I round that up and make my math easy at 1.5% per year, and if that's over 15 years, after 15 years, you will have 160 approximately $1,000 less money in your retirement accounts because you earned about 1.5% per year less per year over the last 15 years. That's going to have a very, very significant impact on the typical retiree's retirement lifestyle if their nest egg is $160,000 smaller.
That is, Patriots, that's a big number. Okay, a lot of digits in there of what your portfolio won't be worth. Okay, thanks to this wokeness. Okay, it is ridiculous. It has invaded our money and our retirements, and you need to know. And we're going to be back with more with Jackson Paulishak on the front line right after a word from our sponsors, right after this.
We are here to defend democracy for the people.
Hey there, Patriots. It's Raven, the conservative warrior. I am here on behalf of Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they now offer competitive business plans. Switching to Patriot Mobile from your current carrier has never been easier. When you become a Patriot Mobile member, your dollars are helping to fund our God-given rights and freedoms. You know us, Patriots. We vote with our wallet. Stop funding the people who are selling us out. Support Patriot Mobile now. Be part of the solution. Be part of the freedom. Go to patriotmobile.com/Raven and get free activation. Patriots, mobilize. Welcome back, Patriots. Thank you for joining us as we talk with the one and only Jackson Paulishak from antiwokeinvesting.com. I'm telling you, I can't believe that's a thing, but I'm so glad we have anti-woke investing. But you guys know how I feel about this, right? If there was a zombie apocalypse, I am guaranteeing somebody would be running down the street with a Zombie Lives Matter shirt and a flag that says, "My brains, my choice." Prove me wrong.
But at the liberals, right?
I'm just telling you, it's just gotten to that point. The level of ridiculousness is just mind-blowing. And so I want to talk to you, Jackson. We've got some examples of shareholder proposals. I want to talk about this Home Depot. I've been reading about what this ESG and this woke investing means for these big corporations, because we're talking about investing, okay? And so that's one segment. Let's talk about the companies we use every day. What's going on with Home Depot being asked to perform a racial equity audit?
Right. So these are shareholder initiative votes. This is how the woke left attempts to pressure and push their agenda on companies. So the one that was cited in the study that just came out yesterday, blockbuster study, was that Home Depot was again a proposal was brought to their shareholders that Home Depot was to perform a racial equity audit to identify, quote, adverse impacts on non-white stakeholders. Okay, so this would have been a voting initiative advanced by woke leftists, okay, on Home Depot to change their business practices to try and achieve that objective. Mercifully, it failed.
Well, but does that support the climate? Does that lower the temperature of the climate, Jackson? Because that's what it's about, right?
Well, in this case, again, adverse impact on non-white stakeholders. I don't know if that would have been the climate, but then if we go to, how about the pressure that was put on Costco?
Yes, let's go to Costco, because we got to talk about Costco. So tell us Costco.
Another shareholder proposal was presented to Costco to set climate targets for what are called Scope 3 emissions. I'll go back to that in just a second, including due to land use change and deforestation. Scope 3 emissions are emissions generated not by Costco itself, but by Costco's suppliers. So if you are a truck driver, but you are not employed by Costco, okay, you drive your own truck on a contract basis for Costco. Costco is required to report on the amount of emissions, carbon emissions, that truck driver is putting into the air and factor that into their business practices.
So I know what, Uncle, okay, but is this going to, so are my samples woke at Costco? Jackson, you're breaking my heart here. Are my samples woke?
I was actually doing some research about 3 weeks ago when I was working on. We have a project we're working on, which is going to be an anti-woke-investing.com index, okay, which will be a basket of companies, if you will, that I believe, based on 28 years of doing this, that basket of stock has the financial aspects to it where it will perform very well long term. But we've also added in a filter to screen out woke companies or companies that are focused on politics above profits. Okay. So I was candidly shocked as I was going through company after company using the data I had, which was rankings and ratings about how woke these companies were, how many of the Fortune 500 companies are already woke. They're already there.
It is so disheartening. And you're talking about an index, which I believe is going to be available on your website, correct? Anti-wokeinvesting.com. And guys, this is a plethora of information. You can't miss it. This is how you navigate through the swamp, is you get a good guide. And Jackson is the best. But we have rankings, or this has ratings for how these portfolios, because some people will know these names. So BlackRock got a C, but let's get to the flagship group, the ones who got an F for, being so woke. Who have we got on the list? Deutsche Bank. We've got American Century.
Let's go with the bigger, the bigger names, if you will, a little bit more recognizable names. Receiving a D or F includes Goldman Sachs, excuse me, sorry. State Street. If State Street doesn't ring a bell, if you own an SPDR or a SPDR ETF, that's a State Street investment. TIAA-CREF, which if you work for a hospital or an education institution, there's a good chance that they're your retirement provider. Charles Schwab, UBS, Union Bank of Switzerland, Guggenheim, USAA. How's that for one? To utilize USAA. I happen to be a USAA insurance customer.
Same.
Because my father was in the Navy in the late 60s, okay? But USAA only serves and meets the needs of current and former military, yet on a wokeness rating from a study that just came out, they scored a D or an F. And American Century, as you mentioned, that's some of the bigger names that jumped out at me.
And that one hurts. I have two parents who are retired Air Force colonels and a husband who's a retired C-17 pilot. That hurts like you can't know, but we got to know. Guys, we got to know, and we got to be smart with our money. We have to be, on top of this. And that's what people need to know. So this has been infiltrating. Do you think that there's a tie between this and the central bank that Biden's trying to create and the digital currency that they are trying to unload upon us?
I would probably give you one simple answer: follow the money.
Correct. And the money, it depends. If the money's corrupt, it always leads to Joe. So, but this is, and most people have no idea. So Jackson, so this is horrible. The money is woke, our portfolios, but because I guess a lot of power rests in the hands of these asset managers and shareholders. How do people navigate this swamp?
I think the two biggest pieces of advice that I would offer to anyone, would be, this study just came out. The study that ranks these different asset managers on an A through F minus scale literally just came out yesterday. And it is a blockbuster study from the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. Now, if I could back up just a minute, when I was with you last time, Raven, I made the statement, your money is much more woke than you think it is. And don't simply believe because you don't own ESG funds, that they're not labeled ESG, that your money isn't being managed in a woke climate change fashion. This study looked at 4,814 non-ESG branded funds. And if I'll short course the study, because
come on, give it to us.
Here's a quote. Investors need to be vigilant about where they allocate their capital, as even non-ESG funds can have a decidedly pro-ESG orientation. So that's short. So as an example, that short list of major asset managers we give you are companies that have failed in this sense. There is virtually no difference between how those asset managers, and we left off plenty of other names, by the way, that's just some of the bigger names.
Yes.
There is no difference, or virtually no difference, between how those asset managers are managing their non-ESG investments versus their ESG investments, And my broad statement is, if your money is managed for ESG or prioritizing woke climate change, it is highly likely, many studies, this is just not my opinion, that you will end up earning a lower rate of return long-term and have a smaller nest egg.
Well, gosh, that's like the hallmark of Build Back Better, isn't it? Build back worse. Nothing's built, nothing's back, and nothing's better. So that is the essence of it. I also want to real quick, Jackson, because like you said, this is good. For those who missed our first interview, can you remind them, I want you to do the example of BlackRock, how this kind of infiltrates at the corporate level so our listeners and viewers can be watching. You had told a story about how BlackRock, and Exxon, and I really think that that's pertinent now.
Yeah, so it's a similar tale to just what we just went over, if you will, with Home Depot and Costco. But this was back in, I believe, 2020, where
Yep.
BlackRock.
It's the samples. The samples have ruined everything.
Exactly. Where BlackRock and several other major institutional asset managers pooled their voting together. And keep in mind, these major asset managers like BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, Fidelity, control massive amounts of these companies' stocks on behalf of investors, but they control the stock. So many of these asset managers got together, pooled their votes together, and forced 3 members off of ExxonMobil's board who were not supportive of this woke climate change stuff, And they were then successful at getting 3 new board members put on the ExxonMobil board who supported an initiative that forced ExxonMobil to sell a very, very large, undeveloped undersea oil field in the South Pacific. The company that bought this very, very large undeveloped oil field is PetroChina, And guess which major asset manager is a huge investor in PetroChina? You guessed it.
BlackRock. Woo! I'm batting 1,000 today. And that's how it happens. Patriots, you see how they do this. It was, they use good old fashioned, manipulation and Gestapo tactics to get in there and force the return. And China is laughing all the way to the bank. And this is why we have to, but be encouraged. We have to be vigilant, Patriots. We have to be on it, and we just have to know. It seems like, where's the evil? Everywhere, and till we can get it out. We got a clean house at 1600. So you remember how Swartz said, we got to clean house. We have to clean the house. It's filthy. Got to clean it again. So Jackson, I want to, but there is hope, Patriot. There is always hope. They showed us that in 1776. So I want to encourage people to go to Jackson. Jackson, you literally do this. You're not with one of these big woke investing firms. You went out so that you could protect people's money. So tell us what's up next for you and where people can find you.
Well, so our website, antiwokeinvesting.com, is up and live. So that's a great way to reach us. Okay. I absolutely offer, if someone is in a position where what we've talked about here or through some of the other channels that we've tried to get the word out on this, I offer anyone who is in a situation where, hey, I'm really uncomfortable and concerned about how woke I think my money is. That's not consistent with my values, etc. And I don't want my long-term retirement nest egg adversely affected by this. Okay. Contact me. Okay. I will do a complimentary analysis.
If you use the code Raven.
That's exactly right. If
you got to use code Raven. And then keep going. They're going to get a complimentary
analysis where I will break down, if you own mutual funds, I've got the data where I can break down, hey, the asset manager who's running your mutual fund, are they or are they not complicit and compliant with this woke climate change agenda? If you're not investing in mutual funds, let's say you're actually investing in individual stocks, I have the data, I have the capability to do a breakdown of that, okay, where I can help you identify the stocks and companies that you are directly invested in. Are they prioritizing politics over profits?
That is it. And Patriots, that's what we need right now. That is the most important thing you can do right now, is protect your money and your assets. That is your ability to fight back. That is your ability to protect your family. That is your money. So you got to keep more of it. And the truth is, Patriots, whether you use the code Raven or not, Jackson is a professional. He's a great guy, and you got to call him. You got to make sure that you are protecting your own assets. And Jackson Paulishak, the one and only Jackson Paulishak from antiwokeinvesting.com. It has been absolutely a pleasure. We are so honored to have you on the show. So Patriots, antiwokeinvesting.com. There's also going to be an index, correct, on the website?
There's going to be an index, and I believe in talking to, again, I'm going to encourage people to take a look at this study that just came out yesterday. The group that released it is the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. It is a blockbuster study that will allow people, you could go to that, look up the name of your fund, how did they score regarding their wokeness and how they're around you. So I encourage people to take a look at that study as well.
And that'd be great. I think something was also published in the Wall Street Journal about that. So Patriots, get involved. That's what the front looks like. Again, thank you, Jackson. And we're going to be talking to you really soon.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks so much.
And we'll be right back after this.
We are here to defend democracy for the people.
Hey there, Patriots. It's Raven, the conservative warrior. I am here on behalf of Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, and they now offer competitive business plans. Switching to Patriot Mobile from your current carrier has never been easier. When you become a Patriot Mobile member, your dollars are helping to fund our God-given rights and freedoms. You know us, Patriots, we vote with our wallet. Stop funding the people who are selling us out. Support Patriot Mobile now. Be part of the solution. Be part of the freedom. Go to patriotmobile.com/Raven and get free activation. Patriots, mobilize. Thank you, Patriots, for being here for this episode of Ravens Radar. Did I tell you the one and only Jackson Paulishak? I mean, I cannot believe money is woke. If you want to add the top 10 things of sayings I never ever thought I would hear myself say, is my money woke, is one of them. But thankfully, we've got some amazing generals in the fight for our country, and Jackson Paulishak is one of them. Antiwokeinvesting.com, Patriots. And for the rest of the time, the book is out. Patriots, it is time. It is coming to stores as we speak. Raven's Mantle is the story, and it is a heck of a story, Patriots. I've told you before, little snippets, but this is a barn burner. This is my rise through the Cold War, the daughter of two retired Air Force lieutenant colonels, and what it meant, because we're back in another Cold War. We are on a Cold War on our own soil this time, and that's what the blueprint looks like, because we're on a loop. And if we don't get this right this time, this will be a different story that our children are telling. So I'm going to tell you the story of the Cold War. I'm going to tell you the story of my daughter being expelled from school at 8 years old for voting for President Trump in a mock election. Weird social wokeness in the schools, CRT. But we're going to take you through it and how the conservative warrior was born and what we're going to do about it. So I encourage you, we're on barnesandnoble.com and amazon.com, and going to be coming on a book tour to cities around the country. And we're going to get our patriots fired up because they want us to be broken. They want us to be downtrodden and, oh my gosh, they're cheating. And we're going to be chest out. We're going to be shoulders back. And we're going to strut. We are going to strut to taking our country back. We are no longer, accepting the things we cannot change. We are changing the things we can't accept, and it starts when we decide. So, Patriots, report to this line. And until then, keep fighting.